Gear in reporting. Let's speak to James, who's here now. Morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks very much for coming in. I know you've got interest in Pakistan because you've got schools there, haven't you? So you've always had a connection with Pakistan. What motivates you, though, specifically about this disaster that you think that we need to raise a lot more money than we have done currently?
I think the main issue, I think that people may not realise, is this is bigger than the tsunami, the Haiti earthquake and the Kashmir earthquake put together. So if you combine those three disasters, this particular issue is much greater than that. I think in your report you said that we've already raised £6 million. Just to put that into context, just for the earthquake in Pakistan, we raised £6 billion. So if you take, 6 million against 6 billion on a disaster that's substantially greater, just goes to show you the extent of this problem. There are 13 million people who've been displaced, so they've either lost their homes, they've lost their lives. In some areas, 500 schools have been wiped out, government buildings have been wiped out, over 500 bridges have been destroyed. Most of the aid just isn't getting there. So the biggest catastrophe right now, there was an interview only yesterday where somebody said it was a miracle that he'd been saved through the floods, but actually the chances are he'll probably die because we can't get water to him. So it's actually beyond what most people appreciate.
And that is part of the problem, isn't it? As the infrastructure has, which was poor in many areas to start with, has been so severely damaged that even with a lot of aid, it's going to be difficult to get
really
that aid to people who need it. So how do you counteract that?
What I'm doing is, when I recently got appointed as chairman of the British Pakistan Foundation, and I've spent quite a bit of time looking at all the different aid agencies that are working on the ground, and I've identified UNICEF, who've actually been there for 60 years now, and they have some fantastic teams directly on the ground as we speak, and just really on a daily basis getting an update from them. The key issues that they're explaining to me is just simple things like, if you imagine from some of your pictures, you can see people literally sitting on tops of trees and houses. They've been there for days. This event is nearly 3-4 weeks old at this stage. These people haven't had water. The children have malnutrition. Some of the floods have affected kind of waste pits. So all that rubbish has come back into the surface, and the risk of disease is unbelievable.
But I'm wondering what you do about it in practice. I was in Pakistan after the earthquake, and then the emergency services worked incredibly hard, but had huge obstacles, obviously, because again the infrastructure was damaged. In this case, the rains keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. There seems to be no end to the disaster.
I think the key challenge here is air. I think you need to get helicopters, and I think that's been the biggest challenge of all the aid agencies, to physically access some of these villages. I think there is quite a lot from both the UK and the US in relation to providing helicopters. I think for me right now is making sure that the aid agencies on the ground get the support that they need. And unless both, I suppose nationally and internationally, if you just remember the number, £6 billion was for one disaster, and we've raised 6. We need to be doing a lot more. And I think anybody out there really, whether it's international governments, need to recognise that over the next probably 4 weeks, they're saying 1,500 people have died. I think that figure will rise by tens of thousands if we're unable to get the support needed.
All right, James. How do people donate?
I think the best thing to do is
DEC, obviously.
Well, I think you can do that. I think the one that I'm probably the most committed to is, I think if anybody out there that really wants to help, go to the UNICEF website, which is www.unicef.org.uk/BPF. They are on the ground right now as we speak. Just to give an idea, £30 gives enough vaccination for 45 families. £50 gets water kits for 5 families, so £10 per family. And we are talking about literally saving lives here. This is not just about helping people, but this is a critical issue.
James, thanks very much.
Thank you, Caan.
James mentioned the UNICEF appeal. Also, you can contribute through the Disasters Emergency Committee's Pakistan appeal, and details of that are on the BBC's website.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Time's coming.